All right, everyone, in the wake of sort of the James Gunn Twitter debacle and some of his friends now saying weird shit like openly, they're like, well, I'm a proud pervert, and it's like, I don't know why you think this is a good strategy, but okay, if you want to make light of the situation, okay, but he's still been fired, so you're still fucked. Dan Harmon has now been lumped in with this. And he made one tactical error that means he's probably doomed anyway, but I'm just going to go through this, why this is a different scenario from James Gunn, and why I don't think what Harmon did was particularly wrong, and I really mean that. The main point here, though, is there's one reason why I don't find it outrageous. He was acting when he was making this apparent TV pilot. I guess here's the context. A clip purportedly showing Dan Harmon, like, doing things with a baby doll was circulating out of context. And what it actually was from was this 5-minute, like, TV pilot where he was spoofing Dexter. Now, Dexter, I believe what it's about is a psychopath that helps the police find other psychos. He's got murderous tendencies, but he's like a white hat hacker equivalent. I guess what Harmon, therefore, is depicting here is a pervert who's actually attempting to help catch other perverts, and that this is what that depicts, or maybe he is the pervert, and I don't know. I'm not going to watch the whole pilot, because it's not, I don't even think they ever fully produced it. If I were to crucify him, therefore, for this, for acting a part, I would have to crucify everyone else who ever depicted a villain in any, like, Hollywood movie or TV show. The list of people would be astronomical. Virtually any good actor or actress at some point has been the bad guy within the context of a film or a TV show, or at least a troubled character. But the fact is, if you were to take footage of them, like an outtake, this is the rough demo of them depicting the rapist in the big Hollywood crime blockbuster, and you were to take it out of context, you could make the argument, well, look, they're doing perverted shit, but it's acting. That's just a part that they're playing. It doesn't mean that they themselves are involved with it. That appears to be what this depicts. It's totally different from James Gunn. James Gunn made a bunch of tweets depicting himself. He's not acting. He's not doing a bit role or something. It's not in the context of a trailer. He's just saying, well, I talked to this pervert the other day, and hey, I want to do this act and that act, and I love, I was beating off. And it's weird. He's speaking for himself. Now, he says, well, it's just a joke. Okay. But that brings us to point number 2. With Harmon, you have one instance of this. We have no other apparent instances of him doing stuff of an illicitly perverted nature. We have stuff like him flashing his ass or, weird shit. He's Dan Harmon, though. He's not in the land of sanity. Everyone knows that. He's the co-creator of Rick and Morty. He's not a sane individual. He's not the sort of person you probably want staying at your house for the weekend. But not because you have to worry about him doing something illegal, because you have to worry about him getting, like, blackout stoned and wearing the lampshade and busting out a window. He's not entirely there. He looks like Slavoj Žižek or something. I probably mispronounced his name. That so-called philosopher of Marxism that talks about how vegetarianism is degenerated and talks about, brutalism is great and weird shit like that. And he favors himself as an intellectual even though he's not. He basically just mouths off. And that's the whole point. He's like Diogenes or something in that context. Very funny stuff. With James Gunn, though, it was hundreds of instances over a long course of time. It wasn't one movie trailer or TV trailer or whatever it apparently was. It was multiple instances where he spoke for himself. Now, the third difference has nothing to do with the morality, maybe, of the situation. It has to do with branding. The reaction likely from Adult Swim versus Disney, these two companies have very little in common. Yeah, they're both for-profit companies that release entertainment material. Disney doesn't usually release stuff like Robot Chicken or Rick and Morty. Adult Swim doesn't usually release stuff like G-rated Mickey Mouse the movie. Mickey Mouse has to save Minnie from, like, Zombie Goofy or something. Disney is very family friendly. It wasn't surprising that they let go of James Gunn. Regardless of what you think about deplatforming, it's like, I don't want to see anyone fired for jokes. But then you have an over-the-top scenario where, what's the company supposed to do? You work for a G-rated film firm making a film that's basically like in the Y7 classification, and you're talking about victimizing people of the same age range as the audience of your main movie. What do you expect to happen? Dan Harmon, meanwhile, did like a shitty trailer for something that, I don't think was produced. What's he best known for? A show in which it's non-stop perversion. Rick and Morty is basically soft X at times, always at least R-rated. It's nonstop swearing, and there's lots of vomit and tentacles and weird shit. It's a weird show. It's stoner comedy, basically. It's like an R-rated SpongeBob, so to speak. That's what Adult Swim is known for. Adult Swim is not a kid's company. Adult Swim is an X-rated firm. Disney is at most PG-13, and that's when they want to be edgy. Mostly, again, it's like Y7. It's for that sort of there's a 7 to 12 crowd. That's basically Disney's forte. Much beyond that, there are a few film offerings that have a Men in Black or something. Much beyond that, it's like people tend not to watch Disney. Then they get old and nostalgic and they watch all the Disney films from when they were a kid. I do like Hercules, I will admit. And then much before that, it's like there are now sort of, especially web-based firms that make sort of the little kid content. They're sort of in that age range. Again, Adult Swim doesn't really have much that caters to the 7 to 12 demographic. In fact, I don't think they have anything that does. Like, yeah, okay, I have a kid, they're 8 years old. Go have fun watching Adult Swim, sweetie. It's not going to happen. Dan Harmon caters to adults. He's made, like, weird film here. It doesn't depict, though, him acting out, apparently, his own, like, desires. He's playing a role. It's called acting. It's like if you act out the part of a murderer, it doesn't mean that you're murderous. You're getting paid to do something. You're trying to make money. He's pitching this, I guess, this idea for the spin-off as sort of a dark comedy to Adult Swim. He's just pitching an idea. It's a weird one, but he wouldn't even be the actor, probably. Maybe. And by the way, I'm not like some super Rick and Morty fan either. A lot of people, they've got a black or white sort of situation where they either think it's the cringiest, shittiest thing they've ever seen, or they adore it so much that they give it cosmic and divine importance. I'm in the middle, and I'm like, yeah, it's a good series. It's comparable to like that Pickles one with the dog, or Metalocalypse, some of these things. By the way, like Dr. Roxo being into illicit stuff, where's the outrage over that? That was Adult Swim. That very literally depicts, a perverted clown who is also a prolific drug user and dealer, but it's understood in the context. You know that it's meant to be comedy. It's dark comedy. It's specifically adult comedy. Unfortunately, Dan Harmon's clip got took out of context, so it wasn't immediately aware that it was meant to be, again, dark comedy or something like that. A crime show, basically. A spin-off of Dexter. That's what it was meant to be. So, yeah, I'm not going to crucify him for this because I've got no indication that he's actually in anything illicit. He's not speaking for himself. In fact, in the clip, he's not speaking at all. It's a bit part where he's acting. Well, you can't blame somebody for acting. The whole point of acting is you're depicting something that you're not. Method actors, like that one dude there, Heath Ledger or whatever, who played the Joker. Apparently, he got himself addicted to drugs, literally, by method acting. Like, he was really good at that, so he wanted to be the Joker and be the best Joker, so he started using drugs and depriving himself of sleep and doing crazy things and staying enrolled 24/7. He drove himself a little bit batty and died of a drug overdose. I think, didn't he get himself, addicted to heroin, actually? Yeah, I mean, he was on a little bit of everything. They found him with bags and bags of drugs. And it's like he was clean beforehand, then he became the Joker in the most literal sense. You're lucky he didn't go so far as to actually become a fucking butcherous, insane individual doing that, by the way. He almost brainwashed himself. As far as Dan Harmon goes, though, I mean, the dude, he's not like James Gunn pretending to be normal and kind of family-friendly, hey, I make, Disney movie. No, he's fucking crazy. He's Dan Harmon. What more do you need to know? That's about all. Peace out.